Everything started in a small building in Ankara to shape the future of Turkey's energy markets, to regulate and audit the energy sector, which acted as the main driver of the country's economy with the confidence provided by the political stability. Energy Market Regulatory Authority began its activities in 2001. In 2 decades, our country grew and our energy markets rapidly developed. Having the 9th biggest energy market among the OECD members, Turkey is on the way to become one of the 3 biggest energy markets in Europe. 28,000 megawatts of power generation capacity in 2001 grew by 7% annually to reach almost 100,000 megawatts, owing to the competitive market design and foreseeable and reliable regulations. The power plants spanning from north to south and east to west augment the power of our country. Organized markets, guarantee of origin certificate system, electricity futures markets are operating and advancing. The share of domestic and renewable energy sources, which make up 65% of our installed generation capacity, is still increasing. Our natural gas market is gradually developing. The market size grew from 16 billion cubic meters per annum to 50 billion. Although only 5 big cities were supplied with natural gas in 2002, no province is left without access to natural gas today. After the first natural gas exchange in our region, we started to operate gas futures. Now we have new targets. We are working to supply affordable gas to our consumers after our gas discoveries in the Black Sea and continue to contribute to the target of making Turkey a natural gas trade hub by developing our regional trade infrastructure. Every year, more than 30 million tons of fuel is consumed in our country. Our petroleum and LPG markets continue the uninterrupted supply of high-quality fuels. Turkey is the top performer of Europe with more than 99% compliance with the fuel quality standards. Owing to our regulations that provide new opportunities to the sector, our country is the world leader in the number of LPG stations and LPG-powered vehicles.
Ya Allah! Bismillah.
This success story was authored by Turkey by All Our Energy. Our success in energy regulation gave us a leading role in regional cooperation. After its persistent active role in the Association of Mediterranean Energy Regulators since its establishment, EMRE held the MEDREG presidency between 2018 and 2020. And today, we proudly serve our community and sector with a human-oriented approach in an environmentally benign and efficient building. We are generating our energy with our solar panels and using our energy efficiently with our automation systems by representing a model for our sectors and citizens. Our 760-seat conference hall is ready to accommodate sectoral events. With the selection of natural and recyclable materials, indoor air quality that lowers emissions and provides a healthy working environment, and water and illumination systems with sensors that allow efficient and hygienic resource use, our building was already awarded with Green Building and COVID-19 Safe Service certificates. We are determined. EMRE will continue to add value to our sector and empower our country by its 20-year experience and expertise and its respected role in our region. Everything is for Turkey's bright future. EMRE, Energy Market Regulatory Authority.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Turkey. Dear President, dear participants, to begin, I would like to present my sincere regards to all of you and thank you for your participation in this session. It is my pleasure to welcome our guests to the Pearl City of Mediterranean and have our distinguished panelists with us. I hope today's discussion inspires new ideas and opens up new horizons about the energy future of Mediterranean. Today, the global energy ecosystem is in transition, driven by economic and environmental consideration. Boosting global energy demand raises concerns about energy supply security. This is visible on the price fluctuation that took place in the international commodity markets in the recent months. Heavy reliance on fossil fuels is still a global issue and will continue to be in the near future. Besides the concern of energy supply security, global warming has been at the heart of energy policy making, such that it has long become the subject of international commitments and concrete environmental targets. Now it started to take place in ordinary people's agenda. To meet these targets and combat global climate change, efforts are devoted to transform the whole energy industry. In fact, transition has always been the essence of energy ecosystem. The international energy fora has always been change, advancing from coal age to oil, from oil age to gas, and finally from gas to renewables today. Until very recently, this century was expected to be the age of natural gas. However, global warming and its climate change effects have speeded up the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Technological advances and cost reduction put solar and wind energy at the forefront in the battle against climate change. Of course, in this challenge, more instruments and concerted efforts are needed in place. Our energy networks should be upgraded to accommodate more renewables. System flexibility and resilience is more important than ever. That is why it deserves huge investments in complementary technologies such as battery storage or hydrogen. Markets are redesigned with the new incentives and business models to allow more than ever deployment of renewables and achieve system flexibility. Today, even the consumers are becoming active participants of the energy markets and represent a huge potential for renewable penetration. Of course, all this transition requires ambitious energy policies. Such an energy transition can be achieved by establishing energy markets that favor the transition, and advances in energy markets require sound regulatory frameworks. All in all, the transition requires incentive cooperation on international level. As pointed out by the founder of Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's well-known remark, "Peace at home, peace in the world." We believe that international challenges can be met by constructive cooperation with peaceful relationships. I would like to emphasize that we are committed to our President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's remark, "In our culture, society, and governance, we reject any idea that favors a drop of oil over a drop of blood." In the light of the foregoing understanding and principles, we put human welfare and honor in the first place, not only at home, but also in our region. As the regulator of the country that has the longest coastline in the Eastern Mediterranean, we see energy as an area of cooperation. We hope this spirit of cooperation will be further extended for the benefit of people in our region. We emphasize that achieving success is only possible with not leaving and party outside the regional initiatives and platforms. With this understanding, we have always been eager to close cooperation with our partner regulators, either in regulator associations or in our bilateral relations. We sincerely stayed committed to cooperation even in the presence of political struggles. Because we believe that persistent collaboration at the regulatory and technical level would induce positive relations at the political level. This understanding guided us in our relation in MEDREG as well. In that, I acknowledge that MEDREG also acted with this understanding and served as a highly fruitful cooperation platform. I think MEDREG's work in supporting its members to harmonize their regulatory framework is very important for the energy transition in our region. That is why MEDREG's efforts to establish the regulatory frameworks necessary for compatible market structures eventually serve the transition to more sustainable energy systems in our region. Here, I also want to emphasize the contributions of EMRA to MEDREG as well. I am proud that our institution, whose 20th anniversary was celebrated a few days ago, has been an active member of the association since its foundation. Besides regular participations to working bodies, our staff contribute to MEDREG's and ad hoc missions to support our partner regulators. Eventually, I'm honored that EMRA held MEDREG presidency between 2018 and 2020. And contribution of Ms. Gülevşen Demirbaş to MEDREG's work is worth mentioning here. For sure, her endeavors carried the cooperation in MEDREG to another level. Even after our presidency term, I'm confident that our staff will continue to add value to MEDREG's work. When concluding this address, I wish best of luck to the current MEDREG presidency in their mandate. Once again, I would like to thank you for your participation in this session and wish you a fruitful discussion and a pleasant stay in this charming atmosphere. I also hope to host our guests in MEDREG community in our new office building as well, which was officially opened, as you saw in our video. I salute you sincerely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you can put the laptop.
Sayın Başkanım, değerli arkadaşlar, saygıdeğer konuklar, ben de kurumum adına hepinizi saygıyla selamlarım. Öncelikle aranızda bulunmaktan duyduğum memnuniyeti ifade etmek isterim. Eski arkadaşlarım, eski yol arkadaşlarım, herkes hemen hemen burada. Now I would like to really continue in English. Dear President Mustafa Bey, dear President Mr. Bardach, and dear guests and colleagues, thank you very much for the invitation, having us here once more to share the recent developments in the Mediterranean energy market. Today we have 4 guests from the region, and then they are going to share their recent developments with us. What are the developments in the Mediterranean energy, and what are the really cooperation among them, and what are the lessons learned, and what are the really exchange among us. In order to start with our speakers, I would like to introduce who is MEDREG and what's our main objectives. So MEDREG is the Mediterranean Energy Regulators, composed of 27 members from 22 countries, and 9 of them from the European Union, and 3 from Balkans, plus Turkey, and 9 members from Middle East and Northern African countries. MEDREG was established in 2007, and it's located in Milan, Italy. And our main objective is to promote a harmonized, compatible, non-discriminatory regulatory framework with a view to ensuring a secure, stable, and competitive Mediterranean energy market. So in order to reach our objectives, we facilitate energy cooperation among our members, exchange information, and we are providing capacity building activities through tailor-made trainings, seminars, conferences, and also we are developing peer-to-peer reports for our members, special reports on the members. So in order to do these works, we have created 5 working groups, namely electricity, gas, renewable energy and energy efficiency, institutional working group, and also consumers working group. If you look at the long-term MEDREG strategy, which is already adopted up to 2030, of course, first and foremost, our main objective is to ensure an independent regulators in each of our members. In that respect, I'm happy to announce that, except 2 countries, both of them, Tunisia and Lebanon, Mrs. Mortata is here already, and they are on the way to create their regulators as well. With the completion of these 2 countries, all Mediterranean, all our members will have their independent regulators. In that respect, our main goal is to ensure this. And secondly, to also ensure a transparent and non-discriminatory regulatory framework. Secondly, to create optimal conditions for all investors. This is key. So here I would like to highlight one thing. I started at EMRA in 2001. I am one of the first experts. That time, I remember we were looking for similar regulators, that we could benefit. Unfortunately, that time, there were a few countries who had developed their regulation. So now today, there are several countries in the world, so we definitely can find best practices. And then I moved to the European Commission after a while. While working for the Commission, I was receiving several investors from all over the world. They would like to really invest in Turkey. And they were coming to me. And they were asking me 2 questions. Whether there is an independent regulators in power, and secondly, who is defining or approving the tariffs? Following these 2 questions, they were deciding to invest in the country. That's why the existing of an independent regulators is crucial for the energy market. The third objective is to create a functioning energy market to allow the cross-border exchange, not only for the electricity, but also for the gas. And our fourth objective, the long-term objective, is to intensify the cooperation among our members. As I have already said, there are several good experiences, good practices for our members. Some of them are really good, made very good progress in gas, while the others made good progress in renewable and electricity sectors. So we don't need to invent America once more. So we can exchange and cooperate among each other to receive the best practices that we can adopt in their own respective countries. So that's why we would like to also develop some pilot projects in the region to be an example for all members. The final one, to protect the consumers through the vulnerable consumers. This is also crucial. We believe that because majority of the energy market is created to protect consumers, to create a transparent tariffs and prices for them. So there are also challenges, of course. You cannot just create the regulators and open the market to competition. There are physical challenges, structural and institutional challenges, and regulatory challenges. Here I'm not going to enter into the first two, but if you look at the regulatory challenges, as I have already said, the first one, the lack of an independent regulators. Secondly, the lack of a harmonized regulation, particularly in the Mediterranean region. And thirdly, subsidies and lack of competition, basically. And lastly, which is crucial and extremely important, having more than 20 years in the energy sectors, if you publish transparently the information and data, transparently, you will definitely attract the investors to your country. This is a very crucial issue which is being neglected by many members. Now, what are the general trends in the Mediterranean region? If you look at the table, the population is expected to grow. Comparing to 2017, the population by 2014, it will almost double. 85 million more inhabitants in the region. If you look at the supply and demand balance, basically in the European side, there will be a stagnant demand, while on the southern members, the demand will significantly increase. Basically, energy-intensive demand is expected. For the South and East Mediterranean electricity market, just for an example, it will double by 2040, an extra 185 gigawatt is needed. And majority of it will come from the renewable energy sources. In order to do all these investments, you need basically $400 billion. Again, a very important, let's say, the example. If you look at the slide, it's between 1996 and 2016. In the last 20 years, the electricity demand, particularly for three countries, tripled: Turkey, Egypt, and Algeria. In the last 20 years. Again, this is a map showing you the interconnection in the Mediterranean region in the electricity sector. So if we ensure the interconnection among the Mediterranean region, it will bring ample benefits for all members. Increase energy efficiency, for sure. Fostering security of supply for all members. Increasing the level of renewable energy sources. The deployment of renewable energy sources. So if you create a kind of single market similar to the European Union, so you can access or enter in any point and you can just leave your energy there. And also, vice versa, you can receive the energy when you need it. And it will, of course, hence reduce the prices. The role of regulators, as I have already highlighted, it's crucial. With the example that I already given you for the investors that I met in the past 20 years. Regulators itself gives a very positive impression to the investors. When they see that there is a regulators is in place, they immediately try to come to this country. And the regulators pave the way for a competitive, transparent, energy market. And they have also a role, not only pave the way for the investors, but also they have the role to monitor energy markets in case if you face with any difficulties or a conflict. These are the very recent trends in our region, in the Mediterranean region. As I have already said, except 2 countries, the rest of the members have already created their independent regulators. So they have the power to fix or approve the tariffs, which is very good. Majority of them are responsible from dispute resolution when we have a problem or conflict. And they have the power to impose the sanctions. This is also crucial and very important. And consumer protection is under their responsibility, almost all of them. And majority of them are publishing the information and data about the energy markets. So, as a conclusion, a coordinated policy and regulatory framework is essential. With the establishment of regulators and with a kind of harmonized, transparent regulations, we can pave or we can create a functioning Mediterranean energy market. I would like to now stop here. We have 4 cases, as I already said. President Mr. Abdellatif Bardach, who is the president of Moroccan energy regulators, now he is going to share with you the recent developments in the energy regulations in Morocco. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ozguk, Mr. President of AMRA, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I would like to express my deep happiness to be here in this wonderful country for several reasons. First of all, because I learned and I heard very interesting information and lessons from the opening session yesterday from His Excellency, the Minister of the Energy, and also from the President of AMRA. And also I meet regarding this, the energy sector as well as for the regulatory framework here in Turkey. And also I meet a lot of people, and also I meet our previous President of MEDREG, Mrs. Demergas, who made a very good job during her mandate of MEDREG and with the Secretary and all the members, even in the period of crisis of this pandemic. The presentation, okay. I will, of course, talk a little bit about the heart of the subject of our panel, which is the role of regulatory toward the energy transition. But before that, of course, I will talk about this a good occasion to talk about the Moroccan cases. In a world where the energy security is the key of the livelihood and prosperity of nation, the role of regulation is becoming more important to ensure equitable access to reliable energy. In this dynamic, countries worldwide are putting forth policies and regulation to enable healthy and open markets, energy markets. Morocco is not exception. Before getting to the heart of our subjects of our panel, I think it will be wise to introduce you to Moroccan system. But before that, let's a few words. I introduce myself. My name is Abdellatif Bardach. I am chair of National Electricity Regulatory Authority since 3 years. But before that, I worked for the Moroccan State Power Utility for 30 years. I was in the distribution for 6 years and 20 years for the transmission department, and also 3 years as the chief of department of a generation department in OINI, which is the Moroccan State Power Utility. In fact, over the last 2 decades, the national demand of electricity has been steadily growing at an average rate of 7% per year. This increase in electricity demand spread the evolution of the power sector and fostered private sector participation in its development. Hence, Morocco made the strategic choice to gradually open its electricity markets and adopted in 2009 a national energy strategy to ensure the availability and adequate supply of electricity at a reasonable price while preserving the environment. This strategy came with the objective of achieving more than 52% of the installed capacity for electricity production sourced from renewable energy by 2030. In order to achieve this ambitious goal, yes, sorry. In order to achieve this ambitious goal, different measures and reform at institutional and regulatory level have been formulated and adopted. One of the key measures taken was the creation of INRI, the National Electricity Regulatory Authority. Currently, Morocco has a very diversified production, mixed in terms of fuel and technologies, and spread over the entire kingdom. At the end of October of this year, the total installed capacity of the national electricity system amount to, let's say, 11 gigawatt electricity production, and the electricity production is roughly 35 terawatt. But the forecast for this year, it's roughly 40 terawatt, of which the share of renewable has reached 37.2%. This renewable energy share is split between 13% for wind sector, 7% for the solar sector, and 17% for the hydraulic sector. Among the 9.2 gigawatt planned capacity between 2021 and 2030, almost 3.8 gigawatts is committed capacity already under construction or under development. I have the opportunity last week to visit all these construction mainly in the south of Morocco with all the member commissioner of our authority, and I can assure you it's very, very under construction and will be on time. And I'm sure that in 2025 we will have more than 3.5 gigawatt in the south of Morocco. It's spread like this. Let's say 2,000 megawatt wind projects are being developed either in PPA agreement or by private project developers. 1,600 megawatts of solar PV projects are scheduled for the next 4 to 5 years, involving both public operation and private investors. A portion of this project envelope is provided in distributed PV. One important project also in hydro is 350 megawatt hydro pumping plant named Abdellatif is also under construction and will be commissioned in this period, maybe in the end of the next year. For the second period, 2025 to 2030, for the Moroccan Renewable Program, ONE's new equipment plan for this period propose a total capacity of around 5 gigawatt in wind, solar, and hydro projects, divided between ONE's STEP, as Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy, and private investors in the framework with the Law 1309 with open the markets and configured as follows. More than 2 gigawatt of wind capacity. The wind projects are located in the south of Morocco. More than 2,400 megawatt of solar capacity divided between Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy and private investors, and more than 700 megawatt of hydraulic capacity developed mainly to pumping transfer station. Here, just to show that our grid over the period of 2010 and 2005, the transmission network recorded significant development, allowing coverage of the entire national territory with an increase of more than 30% for voltage combined of 400 kV, 225 kV until the 60 kV. As for the 400 kV network, it's experienced that during this same period, a significant increase of more 160% on this, and this through an extension of the 400 kV alteration toward Agadir in the south of Morocco, Tanjan, Al Ayoun in the Moroccan Sahara. Just Here, this slide is regarding the rural electrification. In 2000, in 1994, the rate of electrification of Morocco was only 20%. Thanks to very push goal of the rural electrification, all the country has electrified since 2006. Now to come into INER institution and sorry for the disturbance. A lot of measurements have been taken regarding the last decade, let's say, on terms of regulatory measures and substitute measures. The law 13 Act will open the production to the competition action of the medium voltage network and also for the high voltage and the very high voltage. Law 5815 access to low voltage network and also self-production and a lot, just to say that a lot of measurement to enhance the development of renewable energy. And finally, the law 4815 on the regulation of the electricity sector and the creation of the net. This law is now under amendment to extend the activity of the regulation to gas also is under amendment and it will be approved soon in our parliament. And Institute Ambassador, as I said, the creation of Majan Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy in 2009 and the gradual transfer of renewable energy from the ONE, which is the Moroccan State Power Agency, but is still now vertical integrated, but soon will be abandoning the activity of transmission and also transfer all the renewable energy to the Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy, a creation of as we all know, and it's been said by our Secretary General, the unbundling of the energy sector cannot happen without the creation of an independent regulatory authority. To carry out its mission, in addition to its president, the regulator rely on two other independent governance bodies. The Conseil, we have 10 members of commission, including the president, and the Disputes Resolution Committee, which is presided by a judge. We are independent and report to our parliament. Following the entry into force of the law 4815 regarding the establishment of the authority in April 2021, INRA has already launched 3 working committees, legal one, technical and financial, to make progress on important energy national projects. INRA was established in May 2016. I will be honored and be appointed as the first president by our king in August 2018 and have been doing groundwork even since until August 2020 when the member of INRA Council was appointed. They gave the official kickoff of the authority activity, including the building up its human and technical capacity. Since the 22 of April of this year, Law 4815 came into force, and with it, INRA became fully operational. INRA's main mission to ensure the proper functioning of the electricity markets and the regulated access of producers to the national electricity transmission and distribution network. Before to go to the heart of the subject of our panel, I want just to talk about the opportunity and the complementarity within the Mediterranean basin. I think as chair of NAIRE and vice president of MEDREG, that is clear that for us that developing a renewable energy technology on a wider scale would undoubtedly position the Mediterranean region to play a leading role in global energy market, especially through energy saving that could be gained through renewable, thereby freeing up more oil and gas for export. Therefore, the implementation of large scale of energy projects could favor international partnership that could project the Mediterranean country into global markets, energy markets. In the southern and the Eastern Mediterranean country, Morocco, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, and Tunisia lead the renewable energy market in the region. A number of large-scale projects are either under construction or under development, including the 850 megawatt wind project and the construction of the second, third, and fourth phases of the Ouarzazate in Morocco, Nor solar complex, as well as the other solar projects. With more than 80 megawatts, 800 megawatts in place, Egypt is making good progress in its renewable energy program, including the 2 gigawatt PV under the feed-in tariff scheme. Jordan and Tunisia as well. In this region, government-backed tenders have resulted in some of the most cost-effective projects at the global level for solar and wind, with record low price in Morocco and the United Arab Emirates. The world record low price of 73 US dollar per megawatt hour for CSP with storage of the giant 700 megawatt project in Dubai, announced in September 2017, might promote uptake of the CSP markets in the future in the whole region. In Morocco, recorded bids of around 30 US dollar per megawatt for the 850 megawatt wind projects are among the lowest prices announced for the wind in the world. Despite encouraging progress, and in order to maintain momentum, further changes are needed in order for MENA countries to be able to exploit their renewable energy potential and position themselves as sustainable energy champions. The figures show that MENA countries have difficulty to meet their renewable energy targets. Despite the significant potential, the pace of deployment has been very slow in many countries, with the exception of few such as Egypt, Turkey, Morocco, and Tunisia, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates. This is due to several obstacles that need to be overcome, including weak grid infrastructures, regulatory barriers, access to finance, and most importantly, subsidy to conventional energy. It should also note that 18 million people of MENA region population still lacks access to electricity, which corresponds to 1.5% of people without energy access worldwide, while electrification is virtually present, 94%. In practices, low income level and scattered geographic often prevents the actual access to electricity. According to the World Bank 21, due to the low income to the missing network coverage, 20 million people in the region cannot access electricity in a continuous and satisfactory way. Currently, there is several obstacles for development of renewable energy in the region. Therefore, enabling environment is key to the wild development and deployment of renewable energy technology and to attraction investors to the sector. You can see through this slide that we can see a negative price, low consumption and high level of no flexibility generation. Nuclear, hydro, wind, PV in France, Germany, and Belgium cause a generation surplus, high penetration of renewable with a low marginal cost and priority dispatcher, overload in interconnection. The Netherlands price 36.17 euro per megawatt hour did not face a surplus, but could not absorb more from the rest of Central and Western Europeans, since the Netherlands imported the whole day of at a level equal to its globally set important limit from Germany and Belgium. Second example, you can see the speed increasing of renewable energy generation. Thermal power plants are still needed to guarantee the correct balancing of supply and demand. Forward-looking, increased renewable energy projects require a high needing for flexibility. There is a lot of benefit of having not synchronized national peak period. It's very important. Generation capacity optimization by sharing peak capacity through internal exchanges. According to MEDTSO, which is the association of around the Mediterranean basin of the TSO, the theoretical benefits of mutualization, the annual complementary within the Mediterranean power system is around 15%. of the sum of all national needs. This result is pessimistic, since it's only considered normal weather condition. As you can see in finger, there is a disparity between Mediterranean countries with system with a dominant component, formerly nuclear for France, gas for Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt, hydro for Albania, with for the whole power system with fairly balanced proportion. So we need more interconnection between the two shore of Mediterranean area to take benefit from all these complementarity. Morocco, I think, it's a good example. A country is at the cross-border of energy exchange thanks to its geographical location and existing interconnection. We are in the same frequency than Europe since 1997, when thanks to the first submarine link, which had been commissioned in 1997, and with the capacity of 700 megawatts, and has been reinforced in 2006, allowed more transit for 1 gigawatt. And we have with our neighbor in the east also, we are strongly interconnected since 1988 with this two link with 225 and had been reinforced in 2006 with 400 kV. We are also, there was two mature projects, let's say, with Spain, with the third submarine link with Spain in EC current, and also another important project with Portugal in DC. Due to the distance, it's 250 kilometers between the two borders. And also we are working with the Mauritanian operator to talk about the interconnection with Mauritania and go for the West African power pool, just to have very more interconnection. All these projects is under development and under reflex. And also, of course, as a regulator, we encourage a lot this interconnection, all this, because we know that it's very important for the system and for the community also. You can gain a lot on this manner. Now I come to the heart of our subject of our panel, the role of regulator toward the energy transition. In order to benefit from the best practice development in the area and share the problem they have to face in 2007, Mediterranean Energy Grid has associated themselves into MEDREG. And since I have been appointed in August 2018, I have the first, let's say, meeting outboard is the assembly of MEDREG, and I have and joined officially the MEDREG in 2018. Why? Because MEDREG for us is very important to work with and to exchange our best practices around the Mediterranean. MEDREG has been working to support regulatory, as mentioned before with Hassan, in mitigation market failure and avoid market distortion through the exchange of expertise and the realization of reports of various topics of interest of the regulators. I will not go ahead because Hassan has developed this more, more and more. In this slide, we want to identify how regulation can better support the development of the future utility in its role as neutral market facilitator, enable more competition in local flexibility markets and optional use of resources. This is the case right now in Morocco because, as I said before, the OINI, which is the Moroccan state power, is still vertically integrated. All the investors will have to deal with this entity, and honestly, you need more transparency, and this is the role of regulation. All this information, mainly in technical issue and also in financial, will be ensured by our entity. We are working on it. It will be available soon in our website, and all the information for national investors and foreign investors will be available for this. Grid code is one more important, let's say, important issue regarding the investors, or more precisely, the technical connection standards. They specify how plants should behave on the system. Although they are highly technical, managing the process of their development does require policy maker intervention. There are living documents that should be updated as new international experience is gained. A regular review process can help to ensure risks are discovered on time and corrected appropriately. The development of harmonized European network code is a good practice example, in our humble opinion, of forward-looking grid code development with broader stakeholder participation, which can minimize costs from grid code compliance. That we can do similarly for Mediterranean area in order to enhance exchange between the two shores. Another area is the incorporation of variability of renewable energy in operation. A good example is for Ridiculca of Spain. Spanish TSO, which established a new control center, as well as in Morocco, we are constructing a new national center control for dedicated only for renewable energy, plus the main one, to improve management of renewable energy resources. The center helps maximize variability for renewable energy production while ensuring systems reliability and more meshed network are better able to integrate aggregating distance variability renewable energy plants and flexible resources smooth overall variability renewable output. Grid optimization technology also. But as everyone in this workshop know, the challenges depend on the amount of variability in the system and on the system's flexibility. I will not go deeply in this matter because I don't want to be long because I have to gain time also. Regularity arrangement between DSO and TSO is a very important matter also. Regularity arrangement between DSO and TSO may need to evolve to ensure efficient system solution, either conventional or new, can be deployed to accommodate the need of sustainable energy system. The increased need for coordination should not create any confusion in allocation rule, respective role and responsibilities. Respective tasks should be carried out with the appropriate consultation between DSO and TSO and with the stakeholder. In a fast-changing environment, transparency of network status and shared forecasts are crucial in allowing least cost solution to be identified and in creating the opportunity for innovative products and services to emerge. The changing system is making the task of maintaining overall system security increasingly challenging. However, there is also significant opportunity for DSO and TSO cooperation to drive greater efficiency in whole system operation. Now I shift to one of important ambition of Morocco, the ambition to objective to becoming Africa leader in production of green hydrogen and the main exporter to Europe. Thus, I will put a highlight on this last highlight workshop held in the 3rd of November on a topic that is very interesting for Morocco, but also for MEDREG country members, and which is the growing importance of hydrogen in the transition for sustainable gas markets. During this workshop, INRA had a lively and deep discussion with different stakeholders, including top representatives from the industry, such as TSO, DSO, and the producers, president of Mediterranean Energy Regulator, and the European Commission. The discussion was revolving around different aspects related to green hydrogen, including technical and economical challenges facing its development, its safety, and different uses, and the role of energy regulatory and TSO. In fact, the regulatory have a very important role in development of green hydrogen. This is consistent of promoting sustainable energy sources toward the energy transition, guaranteeing a stable environment for investment and third parties access, monitoring the market to avoid abuses of dominant position along with creating a fully functioning, transparent and sustainable energy market. The TSO also have a primordial role. They are responsible for adapting extending the already existing gas transmission system to accommodate the green hydrogen. There is easily said than done. In order to achieve this, a strong coordination between the needed construction and their respective investment plan should be done. During the workshop, all MEDREG members come to the one conclusion that hydrogen should have a high weight in the energy mix of Mediterranean countries. In order to help facilitate this progress, MEDREG member countries are called to define best practice guidelines for a national hydrogen strategy. As I have mentioned earlier, Morocco is on the right path toward this objective. Develop a legal framework with no barrier for the development of green hydrogen. Reinforcement of cooperation among energy regulatory, and develop a strong guarantee of origin scheme of MEDREG members. Green hydrogen energy development in Morocco. What role of Naira? Motivation of this Morocco ambition to develop green hydrogen is strongly driven by demand. After the interest that's shown by many European countries, the development of green hydrogen will also profit the national industrial sector, especially in the phosphate fertilizer industry, which will prevent excessive import of ammonia. Why Morocco? The question is what makes Morocco very attractive as a potential supplier of green hydrogen. The answer lies chiefly in its potential to generate large quantities of solar energy and wind energy, which is required to the production of green hydrogen, its national energy strategy and climate change ambition. Challenge and impact. Numerous studies have shown that development of green hydrogen production is both technically and financially feasible, and it's cheaper to transport green hydrogen through long-distance comparing to electricity transportation. Nevertheless, the development of the hydrogen technology has its own challenges and will certainly have an impact upon the national energy transmission. Few words regarding our participation to the COP26. INERE was submitted to the COP26 in order to attend different panels, along with the Moroccan government representative, Morocco ambition on terms of climate change. Since the opportunity presents itself, a meeting with the chair of Ofgen, of Office for Gas and Energy Market of UK, was initiated to discuss the cooperation possible between UK and Morocco, and also while with MEDREG also. In this context, I attend and one main event named the Global Regulatory Accelerator Initiative, launched at COP26 as part of the Green Grid Initiative. It's not a new association or new initiative, it's just to gather all the important missions around the world, where Ofgem, EUA, ARENA, and World Bank were the leading organization. The accelerator will aim to complement it to the work to the existing entity and collaborative efforts. This initiative brought up more than 20 regulators from around the global, including INERE, to enhance the capacity of regulator on the effective contribution of decarbonization of energy system through knowledge sharing and facilitating the exchange between regulators. By this, I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I would like to thank President Bardach for his comprehensive presentations. By the way, I have forgotten to tell you two things. First of all, our MEDREG President, Petrit Ahmeti, was supposed to come here, but indeed, in the last minute, he had to cancel his trip due to some other very urgent priorities. That's why he is forwarding his best wishes for the conference, and he is sorry for not being with us. Secondly, I would like to greet our former President, Gülefşan Demirbaş. She is also with us for her contributions and support since the last 2 years as the President of MEDREG. I would like to thank President Bardach once more. If you have questions regarding to the Moroccan energy market, I can have a few. If not, I would like to really start with the second speakers in order to use our time efficiently. Any question? Well understood. The second speaker is the Executive Secretary of ERE, Albanian Energy Regulators, who is replacing our President Petrit Ahmeti today. He is going to share you with recent developments in Albanian energy regulators. Elton, floor is yours.
Thanks. Thanks, Hassan. Thanks to everybody, and I also would like to say a few words from President Ahmeti. He was not able to come here today, but he's sending his best wishes and to President of EMRA, and thanks for his kind words. I'm Elton Adesh. I'm Secretary General of the Albanian Regulator. I have a 25 years experience in the energy market. I was working before for the Albanian Power Utility, which was unbundled in 2004, and from then I was working for the TSO. In the last 3 years, I'm working for the regulator. I'll give you some figures about the Albanian market. We have a population of around 2.8 million inhabitants and 28,000 square kilometers. We have a GDP growth of, last year was a drop of 3.3 because of the crisis. The energy market model, we have a single buyer. We don't have yet a power exchange, so everything is based on bilateral contracts. We are trying to create a day-ahead market we plan to have it by next year, but as for today, we have only 10% of the market open to the free market. The interconnections, we are interconnected. That's the power system network. We are interconnected with all the neighbors. We have interconnection with Montenegro, Kosovo, and with Greece. We are building a new interconnection with North Macedonia, which is coming in. It will be in operation by next 2 years. The installed capacity of the transmission system, we have 400 kV, 220, and 110 kV. These are the main transmission networks. It's a relatively small system. About the generation, we are a net importer of electricity. We had some. Usually, we are 20 to 30% of all our demand is based on imports. We had some exceptions in 2018 and 2010 with small exports. Last year figures, it's imports around 2.2 terawatt hours, generation 5.3, and demand is 7.5 terawatt hours. We see this year we will have a increase on demand because the nine-month figures is around 6.2 terawatt hours. The generation structure, we have 100% hydro, which is not good for an engineer, but it's good for environment. We have some small PVs up to 20 megawatts installed capacity, and they just came during last years. And we are seeing the share of the IPPs is increasing year by year in the generation structure. We had 230 megawatts last year of new capacities, which are mainly installed in hydro. And you see on the change of the generation structure is coming from the cash, which is the public producer, to independent power producers. And the installed in private producers are around 22% of the whole generation structure. From 1991, the government has adopted a scheme of building new hydros under the BOT scheme. usually they are HPPs, other power plants, and under 15 megawatts, they have an offtake agreement with a feed-in price with the supplier, which is based on HUPEX day-ahead market price. Let's say last year, the figure was around 60 euros per megawatt hour. It's not a bad figure for last year, but for this year, it's very low. We started these PVs panels with 2 megawatts. They have feed-in tariffs, and we had also last year we had 2 auctions for PVs. The price was strike price was 24.89 for the first auction, and 28.9 euro per megawatt hour for the second auctions. It's around, it will be both 240 megawatts peak. So we see that the price has dropped in the auction. The electricity demand in the near future, we see we will have a 50% increase by 2040. This for the population. This also for the and the industry which is coming out. Last 2-3 years we had a quite fixed, with no increase of demand because of the crisis and because of COVID also. This is the household consumption towards the whole demand. So household is around 40% of the whole demand of Albania. On the gas sector, we as a regulator are also regulating the gas sector. Last year in November, the TAP project has finished on 15th of November, and it started the commercial operation of the TAP. And from that date, we have it's beginning the 25 years period of exemption from third-party access. The TAP project is a gas pipeline it's coming from Azerbaijan to Italy, to the European gas market, and it's going through Albania. That was all from my side. If you have any questions, thanks.
Thank you.
That was short.
I would like to thank to Elton for sharing the Albanian case with us. Indeed, Elton also participated in this conference 2 years ago.
Yes.
He also shared the experience of Albanian energy market. Albania has created its energy regulators even before many EU countries. It was established 1996. Yeah, it's one of the first. The progress in Albanian energy market is ongoing, being a member of the Energy Community Treaty in line with the EU Energy Acquis, electricity and gas. Our third speaker is from Lebanon, Mrs. Sorina Mortada, who is the technical advisor to the president of LCEC. Now she's going to share the Lebanon case with us. Sorina. Yes, it's working. You can work like this. So you split one. Yes.
Under the Ministry of Energy and Water for the implementation of energy efficiency and renewable energy. I'm as well here as the Vice Chairwoman of the Renewable Energy Working Group at MEDREG. So,
Play.
Okay. Let me start with a small briefing about the electricity, the energy situation in Lebanon, specifically the electricity. More than 96% of the primary energy in Lebanon is imported. And we have highly subsidized tariffs. We have a huge gap between the supply and the demand. So currently with the crisis that Lebanon is having as economic crisis and financial collapse, the supply is around 500 megawatt, whereas the demand is around 4,000 megawatt. So you can imagine the shortage and the blackouts that we are suffering from. Most importantly, what have been developed illegally in Lebanon are the neighborhood private generators that are trying to, let's say, compensate this gap between the shortage and the supply. We had recently a very huge fuel crisis due to the financial collapse and the shortages in hard currency. As I said, 96% of our primary energy is imported, so imagine not having hard currencies to import what you need. So as you can see in the first figure, people have been queuing for like 4 hours only to get 20 liters of gasoline for their cars. The same happened for gas, which is primarily used for cooking and basically for heating. We had as well recently, in the second photo, you can see a total blackout in Lebanon. However, the irony is when we had this minimum of supply, we had the street lighting on during the day. So here we can see the importance of the regulator and the good governance in the energy sector in general. As for the electricity generation in Lebanon, as I said, mostly we are relying on conventional thermal power plants with heavy fuel oil and diesel oil. We have a small share of hydro, about 1.81%, and a small share of decentralized solar PV. As well, we have 2 small power plants working as waste to energy using incineration technology. So in total, renewable energy is constituting around 7.92%, 82% of in our energy mix. What are the main influencing factors of this situation, which is hard for the end user, for the industry, and everything in the country? First of all, the tariffs of electricity has been freezed since 1994, where the barrel of crude oil was costing $20 back then. There has been no revision for the tariffs till now. So this is creating a huge burden on the general public budget of the Lebanese government. The second main reason is most of the plants are old, the conventional power plants. They are not well maintained, so they have very low efficiency. One of the main as well problems is having huge technical losses on the transmission side and the distribution network. We have as well what we call non-technical losses due to illegal connection on the Lebanese grid, as well as some uncollected, 5% of uncollected bills. And recently, with the increasing number of refugees in Lebanon, we had a growing demand in the electricity. So approximately 500 megawatt of increased demand due to the refugees' presence. What are the solutions for improvement? As for the plans that are being suggested by the Ministry of Energy and Water and the Lebanese government, we are working on having temporary power plants to have this compensation of the gap between supply and demand immediately. We have, of course, to work on a parallel path to have permanent power plants. And the most important point is to diversify our energy mix by using gas-fired plants, gas-fired power plants, and definitely renewable energy as part of our Lebanese electricity share. We need to work as per the plans as well, as I said, on the transmission network and the electricity distribution network. But most importantly, we should revise and increase our tariffs in order for the electricity utility in Lebanon to to have some benefits instead of being a burden on the Lebanese states. So as I said, renewable energy in Lebanon is being, let's put it this way, is the savior but not as other countries to have to adhere to our commitments in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But renewable energy will be the savior to ensure this energy security and to have the generation in Lebanon and not being important. So in our vision as LCEC, we see that, you will see it during the presentation, we have policies and action plans. We have these 4 pillars. We have the stakeholders' commitment, the incentives, the awareness and capacity building, and we have the regulatory framework. However, we failed in having a good, let's say, energy or electricity system in general. As for the plans, these are the plans for Lebanon. The story started with the renewable energy in 2009, where our target was set in the COP15 of having 12% of renewable energy in our energy mix. Then we had the first policy paper for the electricity sector, emphasizing on these 12%. In 2011, the first NEAP, National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, was published and adopted by the Lebanese government, where we had targets for energy efficiency and renewable energy. Then in 2011, the net metering system was launched in order to boost specifically the decentralized solar PV systems. In 2012, we had a really good financing mechanism, which is based on a loan system, subsidized loan for the private sector to implement energy efficiency and renewable energy measures. Unfortunately, this has stopped recently due to the economic crisis in Lebanon, but we are going to see the impact of this incentive throughout the year. Then in 2016, we had published the first National Renewable Energy Action Plan for the years 2016-2020. Then our target in 2018 was upgraded for 30% of electricity, of renewable energy in our electricity mix. And in 2020, with the assistance of IRENA, the International Renewable Agency, we have designed the Lebanon Renewable Outlook for 2030. And now we are preparing the NREAP, the second National Renewable Energy Action Plan, for the next 5 years in order to see how we are going to reach our target in 2030. So, as I said, 30% is the next target for Lebanon. We have, as mentioned by the speakers, we have a high potential in the Mediterranean region. And in Lebanon, we really have a high potential. So in order to adhere to our target in 2030, we need to install 1,000 megawatt of wind, 2,500 megawatt of centralized solar PV, and as well solar PV, decentralized CSP, and the hydro. So in total, we need to install 4,700 megawatt in order to reach the 30% of the electricity consumed in 2030 coming from renewable energy sources. So I said the policies are there. The legal framework is there. We have a law that was amended in 2002 that talks about the allowance of private generator if the capacity is less than 1.5 megawatt. However, this law talks as well about having an energy regulatory authority, which was not formed yet till now. So one of the main issues that we are having, the law is there, the regulatory framework is there. However, till now, it's not applied. And we think that one of the main points for the next reforms in the country should be to have this era in order for the situation to get better. The current status of the regulatory framework, we have prepared an energy conservation law that was sent to the Council of Ministers. We have prepared as well a decentralized renewable energy law, because if the ERA will not be there, there should be a solution to boost the decentralized system. We have the law 288 for larger scale project that says that while waiting for the ERA to be formed, the Ministry of Energy and Water can launch tenders for larger scale solar renewable energy systems. And with one condition is that the electricity generated should be based on a PPA to the Lebanese government to buy this electricity, and not peer-to-peer or private-to-private electricity selling and buying. And we have other regulatory and standards that has been implemented recently. The second pillar was the stakeholder commitment. So we see that on a national level, ministries, municipalities are all committed in this. On the international level, we have, of course, the support of MEDREG through different technical assistance and experts missions. In addition to that, for instance, now we are working with RVO, which is the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, on a feasibility study for CSP in one of the main Lebanese region in the northern Lebanon. As for large-scale project, the first PPA was for wind, first round 226 megawatt, that was signed in February 2018. That included that the private sector should have the land acquisition, the interconnection with the grid, and the environmental impact assessment. This PPA, after negotiation, was 10.4 US cent per kilowatt hour for the first, 3 years, not 2 years. And then 9.6 US cent per kilowatt hour for the next 17 years for a PPA of 20 years. This project was supposed to be operational by end of 2020. However, due to the pandemic and the other country-specific problems, it was delayed. And we hope that by end of 2022, the implementation will start. So the operation would be delayed like 3 more years. We had other tenders under the Ministry of Energy and Water for solar farms, 180 megawatt, and the solar PV with storage of 210 and 300 megawatt. The other ones were in the pipeline to be launched before the crisis. As for the incentives, so the third pillar would be the incentives. There was an incentive created by the Ministry of Energy and Water from its own budget to install 10 public systems in 10 public buildings. This one example is at one of the Lebanese army building of 155 kilowatt peak. From the incentives, definitely we had the net metering, we have a national heat pump program, solar PV street lighting, solar water heaters program, and other initiatives. As I said, the main one is the NERIA, which is it's a financing mechanism based on subsidized loans. Through NERIA, 1,000 projects were implemented with total savings of 260 gigawatt hour. There was, within the NERIA, an EU grant that was granted for 59 projects, and there was a lot of jobs creation since 2012 till 2019 when NERIA stopped, with around 76 new energy companies that entered the Lebanese market. Through these, let's say, 10 years of policies, incentives, and regulatory framework, we can see here the increase of solar water heaters installed in Lebanon. By end of 2020, we have around 735,000 meters square of solar collectors. We have 90 megawatt of decentralized solar PV installed specifically under NERIA and through other incentives. Here we can see how the prices have been decreasing throughout the years, a constant reduction in the turnkey price from 2011 till 2019. We have more than 65% of the solar PV installation are connected to the Lebanese grid. As you can see, there are several models, and we have a non-negligible share for solar PV used for agriculture as solar pumping in order to compensate as well this shortage in electricity at the level of the agricultural sector. Here you can see the title of my slide. It's electricity-starved people. So there are several types of starvation. In our case, it's electricity-starved people. So you can see here how with the electricity shortages, as well with the fuel shortages, how the price of subscription in a neighborhood generator has increased. So throughout the years, since 2010 till the end of 2020 or 2019, we had around 0.2 euros per kilowatt hour to subscribe in this illegal neighborhood generator. But it's there. with the fuel shortage recently, the price had increased in the last figure from 0.5 euro per kilowatt hour to 3 times 6. So we have a non-negligible part of the Lebanese population that is not having access to electricity because of this increase in the price. So the vulnerable consumers are increasing and the poor consumers are increasing on a daily basis. However, this was used as an opportunity for the solar PV to boom in the recent Lebanese market. So with the shortages of the national utility, with the shortages from the diesel, because even with this diesel private generator, you can have around 10 to 12 hours of blackout during a normal day in Lebanon. So people were looking for energy security, for electricity supply security, and to reduce as well the cost, because we saw that the cost is huge for an end user. This has created a boom in the Lebanese market. So the LCEC is currently trying to regulate, because we have seen in the market second-hand products. Imagine an inverter second-hand or a battery second-hand being sold in the market. So our job now as a National Energy Agency is to assist the end user in the quality choice of their systems. As a summary, as I said, 4 pillars, the 4 are there. However, we still have a non-regulated sector because of the lack of the governance. So what we really need now as concrete actions is to set enabling tools for heating and cooling, to increase the financial capacities, to increase definitely awareness and capacity building, and to develop actions for maintenance of the existing power plants, as well to increase this diversification that we were talking about in order to ensure this electricity security. And most importantly is to develop a new administrative framework and to reevaluate the tariffs to start having this electricity security. At the end, I want to show you my last slide, which is a project that was commissioned 10 days before the explosion of Beirut port. It was at Beirut port on the wheat silos. However, it was completely destroyed. But we still use this figure as a signal of hope that we maybe one day we will be having extra generation of electricity and maybe selling neighboring countries, hopefully. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sorina, for this very interesting case. I would say that although Lebanon become very recently, it's the newest member of MEDREG, they are not only receiving assistance, technical assistance from us, they are also contributing to the MEDREG activities, being the vice chairman of the Renewable Energy Working Group. So basically, you have already heard that Lebanon has an electricity market law adopted in 2002, but since then, they have been waiting for the creation of regulators. As I have highlighted at the beginning of my speech, even creating an independent regulators will definitely attract the investment in the country, having a framework as well. So here, I would like to invite the Turkish businessmen to come to Lebanon and to invest in Lebanon, considering that if you look at the targets by 2030, it's very assertive, and it needs investment in the country, having a huge potential. Having said that, now I have my last speaker from Jordan, Mohamed Maya. He is the chairman of Institutional Working Group at MEDREG. He has been contributing to MEDREG activities since long time. He is going to share the case of Jordan with you. Mohamed, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my honor and great pleasure to participate in the international event of Turkey Energy Summit. I would like to share with you Jordanian case study regarding Jordanian power system. My presentation will include the following: background and the energy situation in Jordan, main achievement, and some conclusions. Energy and Minerals Regulatory Commission. Okay. Energy and Minerals Regulatory Commission, EMRC, it's established in 2014, and we have the main law of it's law of Energy and Minerals Regulatory Commission number 8 for the year 2017. EMRC in brief, Energy and Minerals Regulatory Commission established 2014, 5 commissioners including chair, 19 departments, 345 staff members. Energy situation in Jordan, the main key challenges facing the energy sector in Jordan: lack of conventional energy resources, high dependency on imported energy, a significant increase of primary and electricity energy demand. So we are in Jordan, imported 88% from own needs from the primary energy, and a significant increasing of primary, and we, as you know, that we received some refugees from neighboring countries, so the demand of electricity had been increased. Energy strategy, the main goals. So we are increasing the share of local resources in the energy mix. As I mentioned, that we have imported 88%. This will achieve through expanding development of renewable energy projects, development of local gas fields. So we are now do some exploration in the Risha field in the north of Jordan. The main achievement, as energy efficiency spending was stable a second year in the row, with limited progress in expanding policy coverage despite of soaring the electrical vehicle sales. Transport efficiency has stagnated while spending in the building of debt. We have investment in the coal, especially in the industrial sector. Also, we have investment in renewable heat and transport edge down, but spending on new biofuels plants growing. Based on the Bloomberg research report on the clean and renewable energy status in 2018, Jordan is leading country for the renewable energy in the MENA countries. This is the current electricity structure in Jordan. So we have, in this side, we have the generation. So the generation is private owned, except one power plant, some rights is state-owned. You can see here we have the we have single buyer model, and this in yellow, this is responsible for the transmission company, NIPCO. NIPCO, this has 3 activities: the single buyer model and transmission on the high voltage 400 kilovolt and 132 kilovolt. Also, they are system operator. They operate the power plant and scheduling the power plant. We have also 3 distribution company, GIPCO, IDCO, and IDCO. They're connected to the distribution company generation on the distribution network. MEMAR is the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. This is the energy policy maker for Jordan, and it's and they establish and the strategy action plan for energy. a policy of 5-track approach to develop renewable energy. We have a wheeling scheme, small-scale renewable energy net metering on the rooftop, and engineering, procurement, construction key projects, direct proposal scheme, and competitive bidding. Direct proposal and competitive bidding, this is under the responsibility of Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Renewable energy regulatory framework, we have the laws, bylaws, and regulation and guidelines. The laws, we have the energy, as I mentioned, Energy and Minerals Regulatory Commission law, renewable energy and energy conservation law, amended law on renewable energy and energy conservation. It shall be read with the law number 13 of 2011, General Electricity Law number 64 for 2002, and it's amended. We have bylaws for and regulation for, we have the amended bylaw for the electricity generation fees, and it's amended. Direct proposal bylaw for the generating electricity from renewable energy resources, regulation on electricity wheeling from renewable energy system, and regulation for the sale of electricity energy from renewable system under the article number 10B of the Renewable Energy Action. We have the licensing instruction for persons engaged in design, supply, installation, operation, maintenance, and inspection of renewable energy, intermittent renewable resources, wind and photovoltaic distribution connection code to the distribution companies to the medium voltage, and instructions on cost of connecting renewable energy facilities to distribution system in case of competitive bidding and direct proposal, and instruction on wheeling charges. Also, we have the amended instruction on wheeling charge, instruction on electric vehicle charging station, mechanism of calculating the rate of purchasing electric power from renewable energy resources. The guidelines, we have guidelines to connect renewable energy to transmission and to distribution, and guide to connect renewable energy sources using wheeling mechanism on distribution, also in the transmission. Electric vehicle station. Based on the law in EMRC, no person is allowed to construct, own, or operate an undertaking electric vehicle station except in accordance with the license issued by EMRC with permission granted by EMRC. And the electric vehicle station are two types. We have private and we have the public. So the permission of private is 3 months for 2 years, and and the public is 5 month permission for 5 years. Every station shall have separately smart meter at power consumption during the charging process. Electric charge station can be electrified from renewable energy. As I mentioned, that there is a renewable energy scheme used in Jordan to implement renewable energy through competitive bidding, direct proposal submission, energy net metering, and electric power wheeling application and self-generation application. I have some figures here that we have 30 projects. It's connected with 1,461 megawatt. We have PV 840 megawatt and wind 621 megawatt. This comes from the first and second round of direct proposal granted. We have 22. We have 30 direct proposal license, 22 solar projects, and 8 wind projects. And this net metering application. So we have about 545 megawatt. It comes from around 38,000 system. And this here you can see the capacity for each distribution company connected for the net metering schemes. Renewable energy electric power wheeling application, we have the wheeling around 238 megawatt, and we have 362 system. And this is split on the 3 distribution companies with the number of consumer and the capacity itself. Regarding the number of electric vehicles licensed up to October 2021, we have 45. We have the permissions for public 52 and private 32, and the license 37 for public and 8 for the private. We have also, we grant and approved the electric meters for the charging of electric vehicles. So we have around 700 meters. The number of licensed companies for the licensing person engaged in design, supply, installation, operation, maintenance, and inspection of renewable energy around 460 persons. Conclusion. Jordan has laid down the necessary policy and regulatory framework for renewable energy that attract commercial investment, and template contractual document PPAs and instruction for the development renewable energy projects existed. Expected installed capacity from renewable energy project to be reached by 2030 will be about 30% from electrical installed capacity based on the energy strategic plan issued by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. But 1 week away, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources announced that we will increase the percentage to 50% by 2030. So Jordan is now a leading country of renewable energy in MENA region. Thank you for your attention. This is all what I have.
I would like to also thank to Mohammed for sharing the Jordanian case with us. As he already indicated that Jordan has an independent regulators with a transparent regulatory framework and leading the renewable energy deployment in the MENA region. And also they have already started establishing the infrastructure for electric car as well. With that, when I look at the time, we are exactly on our time. And I would like to once more turn to audience. If you have any questions to our speakers. If not, thank you very much for your participation, for being with us. Herkese katılımlar için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Çok sağ olun, var olun.